This spawn has become perhaps one of the most popular spawns ever, great for team hunts and solos alike. This is how to team hunt Cobra Bastion. The spawn is located in Anchormoon, accessed through a raft in the desert, and in order to be able to use it, you must start the quest of the Great Dangers with the NPC Jack Springer in the Inquisition building of this. You can say hi and mission and then follow the blue text or say hi late. The rest of the quest is not necessary to hunt in the spawn, so you can just head there. There is 3 types of Cobras in the Bastion, with the distribution heavily biased towards assassins and scouts. The least you find, especially on this lap, will be Viziers, which is good since they are the most dangerous one. In terms of defense, the damage is mainly physical, with earth and some death. In the case of mages, I will go with more death protection or earth, and in terms of offense, they are neutral to fire and ice, so both GFPs or avalanche are the same. 2 of them are also strong to physical, so it's preferred to use an elemental weapon for sure, and depending of the level of the EK, he could also use a death weapon with a shield. For the wheel, I recommend to use Ice Burst on the Druid and Divine Grenade on the Paladin. As for the EK, I will use Gift of Life because it might be needed. With that said, let's start with the lab, which in our case, we will go up through the Bastion, but almost everyone else I saw hunting here will go down instead. If there is a difference, I don't know about it. So starting with the first pull, go inside the base ground of the Bastion, luring the monsters in, and set up around the avalanche. This will be a 8 box with sometimes 9 creatures. Then go south after that, splitting the RP to the right and the rest through the left. As the EK, you need to go further in south to the entrance of the basement, because the Cobras like to walk around. Then backtrack a bit and set up to the north. The RP will come with his lure and drop it on the EK. In this case, he had more creatures, because I was slower than him to move to the pool, so he got aggro of the monsters near the stairs. Normally, he should be bringing around 4 Cobras, and he could stand by the right to tank the extras near the EK's box, while moving around as the space opens up. Next pull, go up the stairs twice. NEK stands here while resting the Cobra Scouts. RP likes to stand by my south to tank extras, and mages can go wherever they prefer. To the sides or the north is the same. In some cases, going to the north is preferred, as you can tree wall and stop anything from hitting you. The next pull is to the northeast of here, but before that, let me stop to talk about a mechanic of this spawn. In this room, after server say, and supposedly one more time throughout the day, an empty ritual flask spawns on top of a crate here. Then you can fill the flask with the poison from a dead regular Cobra. Use that on the cauldron in this room, and it will make all the actual Cobras in the Bastion and basement respawn with 25% less HP for 30 minutes after the flask is used. This is an important part of hunting in this spawn, because that alone increases the experience a lot. Since the Cobras having less HP doesn't influence on their XP, it just means you get to kill them faster. However, getting the flask might be complicated. You need to log out in the room before server save and try to be the first one to log in to grab it, which I don't know how contested it will be on your servers. Optionally, you could also try to buy it from other players in the advertising channel, and ideally, you want to have a minimum of 2 flasks that will last you 1 hour, which is a good stopping point to take a break during your hunts. And by the way, if you don't want to lose stamina or boost killing a Cobra, you can use a trap and walk them over it like this. There is also another thing about this room. To the left of it, there is an empty room, which is used to trap the Cobra Viziers from the next room. This is a must do in the case of lower levels, which we were doing as well. That reduces the difficulty of this pull massively. It is time consuming to trap them, but depending on your server, they might already be trapped. At least in new servers is common, but in regular ones not so much, because leaving them out means more experience, as long you can deal with the extra damage. Now for the pull, the EK wants to stand in front of this passage, and the Druid and Sorcerer want to be behind 3 walls to the left, because this usually has more than 8 creatures even with the Vizier's trap, so for that reason, the Druid could go through the southwest room and take the door to the passage and close it after. This comes at the risk of the EK not having heals for about 2 turns, so both of you need to be aware of this. Additionally, this passage has a Cobra Scout respawn on it. Sometimes the EK won't be able to get it before the pool is set up, and it remains on the passage instead. Also, in the case of the Paladin and the Sorcerer, they could go inside of it, but at the same time, it's recommended to stay outside as much as you can. Both of them are able to hit more creatures this way, and also reduce the damage on the EK by a bit. Then when it's time to go in, the MS can do it, but the Paladin should stay outside, either near the EK or continue going south, dropping monsters on him. The thing you need to watch out for, especially with any Viziers around, is that they have a chain attack that procs from any damage source, and if you are close to the EK when they cast it, you can get chained heavily. This is how most people die in this room, especially mages of mana shield getting close to the box. This is important for the next pool upstairs, which will have 2 of them. As you can see, the MS decided to tank a Vizier rather than bring it to me, because the damage of getting near the box will be higher than tanking it a few turns. Additionally, for this pool, I recommend to keep the doors closed, even if it means having a 7 monster pool, because Viziers already make it difficult enough. And speaking of difficulty, the next pool is the hardest by far. Up the stairs, go through the smoke and the mini boss to the next room. On this one, the EK goes in first and throws a magic ball to one of the spots. Then the druid and MS finish building the walls on the other spots. These can get hard sometimes since cobras will aggro on them, but still try to at least place one extra wall so that only one cobra can attack you, and then the MS or RP can tank it. But ideally, you want the RP to be outside, for hitting mass sand and to keep the extra creatures near the box. This is a hard pull on the paladin because he's gonna get chained by the Viziers. For that reason, it's very important to not stand anywhere north of the EK, or else the chain will bounce to the mages and then people will start dying quick. Additionally, this pull in reality is even harder than this, but for a level range, we kept the doors close to the left, which normally will add even more covers to this pull, and we started adding them a few hunts later, when we unlocked the charms of assassins and scouts. But even with us adding them, I would recommend to keep the north door closed. If it is open, then it becomes harder to set up the pull as the EK. So my personal recommendation is just to leave the south door open and let them aggro on their own. And the best way to set up the pull is to do a mini lap around it and take the covers away from the wall spots. Lastly, you can shoot some attacks as you walk in and out of the mini boss room and get 1 or 2 kills an hour, which sounds silly, but I know someone got a cover boost doing this. For the next pull, go out of the mini boss room and go right, following the path to the big room by the north. For this one, the easier way for the mages is to use walls to block the path by the stairs and hide behind them. This is the recommended way for the lower levels, but once you have charms and a bit more levels, the ideal way is for the EK to stand in the middle and everyone circles around him. Because the downside of hunting with the walls, besides missing attack turns placing them, is that you are still close to the EK, and if monsters start trolling the spots and you panic or make mistakes, then you could die. But once this pull is dead, then the lap is completed and you can take the stars down to restart. Hunting like this at the start with no charms, our experience was of over 4.1 kk raw. Unlocking the Cobra Assassins pushed it over 4.4 kk raw, then the Scouts got it up to 4.6 kk. And by our last hunts with everything charmed and the Cobra Viziers out of the table room pool, we were doing 5.3 kk raw XP, while still being under level 350 for all of us. That was also possible because I finally got a Phantasmal Axe, and now with that I was doing quite more damage. But keep in mind that there is a cap to the spawn, because you will start to overkill. When that happens, there are extra pools that can be added. There is one upstairs of the mini boss by setting near here and then having the RP lure from the southwest room, and additionally one on the roof, which I don't recommend to do at all since it has a lot of Viziers and extra monsters. So it's one we never tried personally, but if you want to do it, there are spots to the right where you can hide with 2 walls as the mages. And lastly, there is the first pool of the basement, which is part of the basement lab, and if there is a team hunting there, you shouldn't do it. So in our case, all we added was that one pool before the roof and that was it. I think our best experience might have been around the 5.4 kk raw, because that one pool doesn't improve the lap. If anything, it makes it worse, but it is needed to avoid overkilling at that point. Also, another thing that helps with the overkilling is keeping the 2 pools on the ground floor separate. With more levels, you can combine them into just one big pool, but not only it will be harder for everyone, but also seems to speed up the process of overkilling. So we only did it one hunt, and then went back to doing them separately. Additionally, the profit is around the 100 to 150k per person the hour. Depending on the levels, it might get close to 200k or more. And that's all I got for this spawn. Next up, I will be covering the lab for the basement, so consider subscribing for that. In the meantime, there are even more options to hunt at in this playlist. Thank you for watching, and a special thanks to Tuna Hero, Night Star, and Turtle Slasher.